Hello, and welcome to episode 4 of The Quiet Panic. I'm your host, Anna, and I know I've been gone for a while for those of you that have been keeping up with me since the beginning. Things have been rough, really, really rough, and I just been going through it, so I haven't really had the time or felt like doing this, to be honest. I'm not gonna lie. I'm gonna be really, really honest with y'all. It's been hard, and I have been struggling the past month since something happened that's kind of big in my life. And yeah, if you know, you know. And if you don't, yeah, you don't get to know. So we're gonna slowly be diving back into things. And I apologize for being gone so long. I really only wanted to take a week off, but for my mental health, I needed longer than that. And I think I'm ready. It's going to be a little different coming back, but I'm going to try my best right now. So, here I have this book. Let's see, Ghost Stories, New Mexico Ghost Stories. I got this about 2 years ago. Me and my current husband went, not current, my husband, like I'm gonna leave him. Anyways, my husband and I had went to the mountains like 2 years ago, almost 2 years ago this time. I'd actually crashed my car New Year's Eve, and I had this planned for like 2 weeks that me and him were supposed to go to this place, and we were gonna take my car, and then we took his car, and it had snowed because obviously winter, and his car could not handle it. But we went and saw these little cliff dwellings, and I got this book at the gift shop. The author is Antonio R. Garcias, and I'm gonna link his information and more of his books in the bio and the description of this episode. So check out more of his books, and I'm only gonna be reading a few stories from here. So if you want to know all the New Mexico ghost stories, go ahead and click the link in my bio and check out more of his stuff. Uh, yeah, I like it so far. Probably gonna read like 4 to 5. Um, just because I'm trying to make my episodes longer because I like talking. Um, for this week's episode, we are drinking because I just got back from hanging out with some friends at Dave and Buster's. One of my husband's friends is leaving the shop. This is really bright, I feel like. Hold on. That's not right. Oh my god. Wait. How did this happen? Hold on. You guys are really seeing behind the scenes right now. Do I want yellow? No, I don't want yellow. How did that happen? Okay, there we go. Sorry, guys. I'm still trying to get back into it. It's been rough, y'all. You have no idea. Anyways, one of my husband's friends is leaving to go to the Guard in Maine. So tonight was his going away party. So we went and played some games at Dave and Buster's and had dinner and had some drinks. I'm continuing the drinking because I'm on a night schedule, so I have to be up for the next 8 hours, unfortunately, so that I don't try and die at work. But in here we have a mix of a lemon drop martini cup water with lemonade and Sprite because I don't like the taste of alcohol that much. I'm not gonna lie, it kind of sucks. So I mix it. So this is like half a cup water with lemonade and Sprite because I don't like the taste of alcohol, but I do like feeling drunk. Um, Not a problem, guys. I swear. I can control myself. Unlike some people that I know. Military man, crazy things happen. Um, I don't know if I just want to dive in. I kind of like just talking. I don't know how people feel about like the host talking about their lives beforehand, but if you're just here for the ghost and paranormal stuff, it's probably annoying. But if you like me as a person so far, then you might enjoy me just randomly telling you bits and pieces about my life. I don't know. You guys tell me in the comments what you like, because either I will continue talking just about random stuff that's been happening in my life throughout the week, or I will just jump right into the stories like I have been, to be honest. Um, it looks like I have bookmarked 4 stories. We'll see how far I get into these 4 stories. But I guess for now, let's just jump into it, shall we? So, what is this? 46? So, this first story takes place in Santa Fe, New Mexico, and it's called Guadalupe and La Llorona. All right. Um, yeah, let's just dive right in, shall we? Guadalupe was born to a family that consisted of her parents and 5 older brothers. Because of the harsh conditions of rural life in the 1920s and lack of proper medical care, 3 of her brothers had died by the time she celebrated her 8th birthday. At the time of this interview, Guadalupe was 70 years old and in good health. She told me of many childhood experiences in Santa Fe, and she described the difficulties of daily existence without the aid of a telephone, automobile, or washing machine. As of 7 years ago, Guadalupe was still practicing her gifts as a nope, I'm gonna butcher that, as a healer, um, and midwife. To this day, the elder Hispanic people of the city seek counsel. During my interview, we sat in her kitchen sipping coffee. Guadalupe clasped her hands daintily in her lap and closed her hazel eyes in concentration, accenting the tiny wrinkles of her face. Then she told the story of her encounter with one of New Mexico's most famous spirits, La Llorona, the Weeping Lady. The thing about Santa Fe, some people really love Santa Fe, or some people don't like Santa Fe. My experiences in Santa Fe, I don't think I like Santa Fe. No offense to anyone. It is very much of that. Like, if you like art, then go. But I didn't like Santa Fe that much. They have good food though, and they have a couple restaurants that I want to try. And they have Meow Wolf, which is cool. But I don't know what else to do in Santa Fe. Like, we took the train up there, we drove up there. I don't know. It's only an hour away from where I live right now. But anyways, Guadalupe's story. It happened one hot day in 1931 when I went with my brothers and a few neighborhood friends to the Santa Fe River. Even though it was 4 miles away, we didn't mind the walk because we knew that the refreshing cool river awaited us. Before leaving, I gathered up my white puppy Pee Wee, who had been resting in the shade of a pinon tree, and then ran to catch up with the others. When we reached the river, my brother began throwing small stones in the swirling eddies. I placed Pee Wee on the ground and joined in the game. After a few minutes, the sun beating down on my exposed head made me nauseous. I sought shade under some nearby willow trees. My puppy joined me as I dug up the reddish brown mud from the water's edge to make mud people. I fashioned the bodies out of mud, used twigs for the arms and legs, leaves for dresses, and small flat stones for boys' hats. I could see and hear my brothers and their friends laughing and carrying on, but I was content to play house with my mud dolls and my puppy. Suddenly, while I was arranging the dolls in a circle, a strong gust of wind enveloped me, and the surrounding cattails and tall weeds swayed violently. Then I heard the sweet tinkling sound of bells. Captivated by the ringing, I stopped playing and listened. As I turned to tell my brothers about the bells, I noticed that they had also heard the sounds, for they were standing silently, just gazing at the sky. The sounds of bells got louder and louder, and my puppy, who stood at my side, began to bark and then ran off into a large clump of cattails. I tried to go after him, but discovered that I could not move a muscle. I was mesmerized by the sound of the bells for at least a minute. The tinkle of the bells subsided, and in sudden silence I heard a woman gently sobbing and calling, "Mija, mija." Suddenly I was able to move, so I stood up and called to my brothers. They rushed to my side and took me by the hand. From the feeling of the fear that gripped me, I knew this was something evil. We all raced home. I soon learned that my brothers and the other children had also heard the woman crying and screeching, but to them she called out, mis hijos, my sons, my sons. Once I was safe at home, I realized that I had lost my puppy, and I cried because I was certain it had drowned. After we explained what had happened, my mother said we had did the right thing by leaving. From what we told her, she believed something evil had happened. My parents decided to make a visit to the spot where we had heard the weeping. I was apprehensive about returning, but at the same time, I was anxious to find my puppy. As my father was getting the horses ready, I heard my mother whisper to him, La Llorona. When we arrived at the river, the sun was hanging heavy and tired in the western sky. As we approached the river's edge, we all heard the woman's voice and felt the sense of urgency as she cried loudly for her children. Mis hijos, mis hijos. My father called out to her, ¿Quién es? ¿En dónde estás? ¿Qué quieres? Who are you? Where are you? What do you want? He received no reply, so my mother shouted, Dije MS. Ugh, sorry guys, my Spanish is not that good. I'm sorry. Deje mis hijos solos, hija de demonio. Leave my children alone, daughter of the devil. Then she made the sign of the cross and called to us, Vamonos, let's go. And off we went. But in our haste, my mother's horse, which she and I were riding, tripped, and I fell off into the mud, hands first. As both of my parents came to help me, one of my brothers shouted for us to look at the river. We all turned and saw the apparition of the mother of the woman walking toward us with her arms outstretched. The setting sun had cast a deep red orange gold glow on the river, and we clearly saw this woman walking on its surface. My father yelled for us to hurry, and we quickly made our way back home. As soon as we got back, my parents alerted the neighborhood to the danger at the river. They told everyone what we had witnessed and warned people to keep a close watch on their children. Most people think La Llorona makes her presence known at night, but I am here to tell everyone that evil can choose any time to come forth. To this day, I clearly recall the phantom woman walking on the water and crying for her children. Sorry, I just heard like a weird noise, and the man in the attic is home. For those of you that don't know, we think someone lives in the attic. Anytime the house just makes settling noises or my dog barks at something random, it's the man in the attic. That's just what we say. La Llorona is a very, very common Mexican tale. For those of you that don't know, she typically haunts like waterways, mostly rivers, of course, and she's constantly looking for her children. The story goes that or some versions of the story, I shall say, um, she found out her husband was cheating on her, so she took her children to the river and drowned them. And in the guilt, I believe she also drowned herself. But now she is constantly searching for her children that she drowned. And the legend goes that if you hear the weeping woman, run away because she could take you and drown you. So that's fun. I could go more in depth with that in one of my episodes if y'all would like to hear that. It's definitely a very interesting Hispanic legend. Um, I also want to cover The Woman in White sometime. I know that the fourth episode was supposed to be The Conjuring house. I just, I wasn't feeling it anymore. Once I started doing my research, I was like, I feel like I'm not finding a lot. And then, like, one of the daughters has a book. I'm like, okay, well, I should read the book so I could get more information. But there's also a lot of other books that I want to read right now. I'm trying to finish the Hunger Games series before the new movie comes out. But yeah, I'm sorry for not covering The Conjuring. I definitely want to do it, just not right now. I'm just, I'm still trying to bring myself back into a good headspace right now. And it's been hard, to be honest, ever since what happened. But I'm trying. And I don't want to give up on my podcast. I like this, it's fun. But also, everyone was telling me, like, oh, your editing sucks, and you should do this, and you should do that. And I'm like, I only have my laptop, guys. I can only work with what I'm working with. And then my husband was gonna get a new PC, but then the freaking rates went up because of the fucking AI. And it's like, ugh, God, I hate AI. Anyways, off topic. I'm trying my best right now. Listen, guys, I'm just doing this as a hobby, okay? I don't care about it looking perfect, and I don't care about it being perfect just yet. When I can upgrade, I will upgrade, and you guys will notice the difference, okay? Because I definitely want to do this for a long time because I like it and it's fun for me because I like to talk, but I really don't at the same time. I'm gonna be honest. When people meet me, I'm very like shy and timid, but when you get to know me, I'm like, ah. um, so talking to a camera isn't weird to me because I can just be myself and not have to worry about social anxiety. Ugh. Anyways, on to the next story. This is called The Penitee and the Witch. What is this, 109? Ooh. This story takes place 109. Ooh, I do not know how to say this town. Abike? Abike? I'm gonna show y'all. Do you guys know how to say that? Can you even see it? I know it's backwards for y'all. Sorry. I don't know how to say that. Anyways. The Penny and the Witch. My interview with Napoleon took place on the porch of his home, which is located directly across the street from the old Abike village church, St. Thomas Apostle. The village of Abike is where Napoleon was raised. Located just walking distance from Napoleon's house is Georgia O'Keefe's home. Is that someone important? I don't know. I have not read this book, actually. I just have it and I liked it and I was going to read it. And I was like, then I started this podcast and I was like, I should cover this. I should read stories from this book because that would be fun. I don't know who that is. Georgia O'Keefe's home? Anyways, Napoleon was eager to share local lore and bits of information of his childhood, including stories of ghosts. Ooh. Napoleon is also well known throughout the Abike Valley for being a man who can direct the visitor to points of interest and in and around Abike. Various carved crucifixes and Pueblo ladders that Napoleon carved out of native aspen wood decorate his home. Some are available for purchase. Among other topics, Napoleon is proud to state that his family helped with the construction of the nearby Benedict monastery, Christ in the Desert. My impression of Napoleon is that there are many more interesting facets to his life. Presently, he is content living in Abike and assisting the many tourists that wander upon his humble village and home. The visitor, however, would be well cautioned to keep questions about Napoleon's life with O'Keefe to a minimum. You see, Napoleon is currently compiling his own memoirs for a future book on this very subject. Who is Georgia O'Keefe? I need to figure that out. This could be an interesting story I could cover at some point if it's crazy. All right. Napoleon Paul Garcia's story. I am a native of Iquique and have I really hope I'm saying this right. If I'm not saying this right, I'm really sorry. I should have looked. My bad, guys. Oh gosh, I'm a terrible host. I'm gonna get canceled already. I'm a native of Iquique and have lived in the village of Iquique all my life. I currently offer information to tourists such as maps and points of interest, which only a native to this area like myself is most qualified to give. I offer this information service directly out of my home. I frequently get asked questions about Georgia O'Keefe. I am very happy to share my personal information with anyone who asks, since I knew her very well. I also try to inform tourists about my village of Iquique and the surrounding con- count- country. That doesn't make sense. Because there's a lot of history here. It has to be county, but that looks like country. Anyways, because there's a lot of history here that is just as important as the stories I tell about Georgia O'Keefe. As you might know, I personally knew Georgia. She and I began our acquaintance when I was just a child. As the years progressed and I entered adulthood, I was hired by her people to help in the restoration of her home here at the village. I also planted many of the trees that decorate her home's gardens and property. I took care of any repair work that was needed in her home, repairing walls that needed plastering, electrical work, etc. I was hired as her personal chauffeur, driving her to and from appointments between Taos, Santa Fe, and Albuquerque. Now, as far as ghosts is concerned, well, I don't know if you're going to believe me, but my wife, my sons, and myself all have experienced strange happenings here in our home. I would say that we definitely have a spirit, a ghost that dwells among us. When we are in our beds sometimes, we will get the feeling that someone is in the room with us. Although we can see that no one is actually in the room, there's a strong sense of a presence. Very soon after we have this feeling, the spirit will make its presence known to us in the guise of loud footsteps walking up and down the stairs. The sounds of the footsteps will enter our bedrooms, and our mattresses will actually show the indentation of a body that has sat at the foot of the bed. What? We all hear these footsteps that walk from room to room. We believe that the ghost is the spirit of a man. Because of the heavy, loud footsteps, the ghost also moves such items as my personal wood carving tools and cups of coffee that are filled with freshly poured hot coffee. I will look all about the house for these items, and they are nowhere to be found. I think that the ghost is a friendly spirit because if it wanted to do us any harm, he would have done so a long time ago. I think he just wants to play and visit with us. The people of the village also tell of a woman who can be heard screaming or crying. The sounds come from the cemetery that is located up above the village just west of the Morvada or Penitentiary Chapel. This woman is dressed in dark clothing and allows people to view her from a distance. When anyone attempts to get close to her, she disappears. I have heard about this woman for many years. For lack of for lack of a better word to describe her, we all just refer to her as La Llorona, the weeping woman. I can remember as a young boy, I would see balls of light that would bounce off the roofs of houses in the village. My friends and I would sit on a banco bench on the plaza at night, and we would witness these strange lights, which would make us quite scared. Our parents would tell us that the lights were witches, so we were very cautious around these lights. Things used to be different many years ago in Iquique. For instance, when a person would die, the veloro wake would be in the family's living room. The coffin and body would be displayed for the mourners to view in the house. This might seem odd, but at the time we had no morticians or methods of embalming. The deceased would be given the veloro, usually the same evening of their death, and then buried the following day. There's a story that people tell in the village that I have heard since I was just a small boy. The story is about a member of the religious Penite Brotherhood Years ago, the Penates used to walk the dirt streets of the village on special religious holidays. They would wear a large penno, that's not right, handkerchief over their heads to disguise their identities. As they walked the streets, some would carry a whip of knotted cords that they would use for self flag flagellation. Flagellation? Is that right, guys? I don't know. They would do this to show their next page to show their devotion and reverence to their spirituality and their Catholic faith. There was one penite, I don't even know if I'm saying this right, penite that was different from the rest. These penite would conduct his walk by himself at night. As he would make his way through the village, the people would show him respect by making the sign of the cross as he passed. The people did not recognize this strange devotee, but nonetheless, because of his strong self sacrifice, they gave him respect. This penitent also had the unusual habit of walking down roads that led away from the Morada. When some individuals followed him at a distance, to their surprise, they discovered that he would just simply disappear. Of course, the village people knew immediately that this was no ordinary penitent, but a spiritual being. As the story goes, there was one individual who decided to follow the penitent the next time he walked throughout the village. This young man was wanting to prove to everyone that he was not afraid and was braver than the rest. He wanted to find out who this penitente was. That's what it looks like. Penitente. The next time this penitente walked through the village, he was ready. The night was dark, and sure enough, the penitente walked by with the young man following behind. Nearing the edge of the village, the penitente noticed that he was following him and extended his arm, gesturing for the young man to stop. He did not say anything, but just made it clear to him that he was not welcome to follow the penitente any further. The young man chose to disregard the warning and continued to follow. The penitente continued his walk, but this time he took a new route that led up to the cemetery. The young man following close behind, they both entered the cemetery grounds. Well into the cemetery, the penitente slowed his pace, allowing the young man to get fairly close to him. When he got close enough to the penitente, oh my gosh, I can't. I'm just gonna say pen for short. Close enough to the pen stopped and turned to face the man. The man walked up right to the pen and asked him, "Who are you?" Slowly the pen raised one arm to his head and took hold of the handkerchief, then quickly pulled it off to reveal a white skull. Another quite well known story is that of a witch that lived in the village many years ago. This witch was left alone by the people, and because of her powers, was known to have the ability to turn herself into animal forms. This ability allowed her to sneak up to houses and peer into windows without drawing the attention of the occupants. She used the information she gathered to use against the people. One evening, there was an unusually large black owl that kept flying around the village. The people had their suspicions that it was the witch who transformed herself into an owl. Because the people believed her to be something evil, they encouraged one of the men in the village to kill her. The man brought out his rifle and inserted a bullet into the chamber. Before he placed the bullet in the gun, he took out his pocket knife, carved a cross on the tip of the bullet. This was done to ensure that the bullet would reach its mark. The man went out to where the owl was spotted, took aim, and fired. The bullet hit the owl, and in a cloud of black feathers, the owl flew away into the nearby hills. The following day, the woman who the people suspected to be the witch was seen in her yard with a large bloodied bandage wrapped around her shoulder. There are other stories of the valley, and one in particular takes place just north of Iquique and Ghost Ranch. Years ago, it was called Rancho de los Brujos, Ranch of the Witches. Long ago, the cattle rustlers used to steal cattle from the local ranchers and take them to the Box Canyon. Rancho de los Brujos, if anyone dared it to be so brave as to follow these phantom rulers into the canyon, they would never be seen again. The stories told are of ghostly sounds, of horses, gunfights, and of balls of fire that bounce off into the canyon's walls. Today, the local people of the village find lots of Native American my bad, lots of Native American artifacts that were buried on private land in the village. I know people who have dug holes for their fence posts have found large grinding stones, bowls, and skeletons. We are very respectful when we find a skeleton. We will take the bones to other locations in the hills and rebury them. I also know that some people have taken them to our cemetery and buried them there. We never display the bones out of respect. Native American ruins and ancient sites surround the whole village of Ipique. That's that story. That was very interesting, honestly. Hey guys, part two. I took a nap because I felt like I was a little too drunk to be doing this, and I was really tired, and I felt like my energy was down, and I didn't want that for my first episode back because I'm not trying to showcase that to everyone. But yeah, I think I'm just gonna read one more story because I ended at like 31 minutes. Um, so this one takes place in Albuquerque at the Camino Theater. Jared and I are actually supposed to be going to a concert. We're gonna see Goldford there, and I'm excited because I hear it's like one of the most haunted places in Albuquerque. So I'm excited to read this story because Jared and I are supposed to go there in like literally 3 weeks. So that's gonna be fun. I'm so excited because I just love the ghost stuff. Um, so if I get to be in a haunted theater and like seeing an artist that I love, yes please. Especially because I got the VIP package. So little meet and greet, only $75. I'm doing it. I got apple cider now. Still have my drink to the side here, but I'm not gonna drink it. I have to work. it, not until like later. I mean, like really later. It's 3:50 a.m. on Sunday. I don't have to go until midnight. So midnight morning Monday. I'm gonna be baking cookies. Okay, I need to stop talking. I just love to talk about the most random stuff. Ask my husband. I yap his ear off all the time. It's one of the reasons why he loves me. Obviously, probably, I'd imagine. The dogs are fighting. The Camino Theater opened in September 19th, 1927 as a Pueblo Deco picture palace during a period when Art Deco was in and picture palaces were the rage. The style of Pueblo decor was a flamboyant, short-lived architectural style that fused the spirit of Native American cultures of the Southwest with the exuberance of America during the Roaring 1920s. Ooh. It emerged at a time when movie-mad communities were constructing film palaces loosely based on such exotic foreign models as Morsha. Oh, nope, not Morsha. Foreign models as Moorish mosaics and Chinese pavilions. Native American motifs appeared in only a handful of movie theaters. Of those few, the Chemo, is it? I keep saying Camino, it's Chemo. The Chemo. Jesus Christ. Ugh, I suck at English. And it is my first language. I don't speak any other language. Of those few, the Chemo was the undisputed king. Nearly every town worthy of its name boasted its own movie palace, designed in Moorish or Gothic or Oriental flamboyance, equaled only by the splendors of the film world. I feel like now that I'm not drunk, my dyslexia is gonna come out like crazy. Sorry guys if I stumble a lot. I have been having a hard time speaking, honestly. I feel like I've been getting more and more illiterate. It's kind of scaring me. Anyways, sorry, I keep this is bad. Not to be outdone, Albuquerque planned to have their dream house. The Chemo was highly representative of its time. It would be unique without Moorish or Chinese motifs and decorated instead in its own southwestern style. Oreste Bachechi one of the founding members of the Albuquerque Italian-American community, came to the United States in 1885 and set up a bar and a tent near the railroad tracks. Bacecchi's fortunes expanded with the city's growth. He became a liquor dealer and proprietor of a grocery store, while his wife, Maria, ran a dry goods store in the Elms Hotel. Bacecchi first became involved with the movies around 1919 when the Bacecchi Amusement Association operated the Pastime Theater with Joe Barnett. By 1925, he had decided to achieve an ambition, a dream that had long been in realization, by building his own theater, one that would outstand among the Greek temples and Chinese pavilions of contemporary movie mania. Bacecchi chose Carl Bowler of the Bowler Brothers, whose firm had acquired a considerable reputation for catering to the fantasies of movie patrons. The Bowlers had already designed the Wild West Rocco-style theater in San Antonio and a Spanish cathedral cum Greco-Babylonian interior in St. Joseph, Missouri. I'm telling you guys, now that I am not a little tipsy, I don't know how to speak. I was trying to play it off like I wasn't that drunk, but I think I was a little drunker than I was. There's a big difference in the two halves of the videos. That's all I'm saying. um, Carl Boyle traveled extensively throughout New Mexico, visiting the pueblos of Acoma, Isleta, Cibola, and Navajo Nation. After months of research, Bowler submitted a watercolor rendering of the interior. Oreste was pleased with the design. The interior included plaster ceiling beams textured to look like logs and painted with dance and hunt scenes, air vents disguised as Navajo rugs, panoramic murals depicting the 7 cities of Cibola, chandeliers shaped like war drums, and Native American death canoes. Iron birds, dude, I don't know English. Iron birds descending the stairs in rows of garland longhorn steer skulls with eerie glowing amber eyes. Carl Bacecchi was 18 when his parents built the Chemo. There there were plans all over the house, he remembers. Decisions had to be made about materials, colors, labor, and contracts for out-of-town work. One difficulty was getting people to make the medallion for the walls, Carlo says. Like terracotta, which had to be fired elsewhere because of a lack of local kilns, the medallions had to be shipped from the West Coast. None of the designs were chosen at random. Each had historical significance, he says, of the myriad of rain clouds, birds, and swastikas, which are Navajo symbols for life, freedom, and happiness. Colors took months to choose. Like abstract symbols, color, too, was part of the Native American vocabulary. Red represents the life-giving sun, white the approaching morning, yellow the setting sun of the west, and black the darkening clouds from the north. The crowning touch was the 7 murals painted by Carl von Hausler. Some of the work he painted himself, the rest was traced from heavy butcher paper cutouts, which were taped to the walls and filled in with paint by workmen. The first paint by number. Speaking fondly of von Hausler, Carlo Bacecchi says he and the proud Parisian were very close. He was quite a drinker and playboy, but he was also quite a painter. You couldn't take that away from him. Working from a platform hung the ceiling, von Hausler reportedly worked for months on his creations. He would hang up there for hours at a time. Bacecchi, who bought the last 12 paintings von Hausler did in Albuquerque before his death. The theater was completed in less than a year. It cost $150,000 plus $18,000 for the elaborate Wurlitzer organ that accompanied the silent films of the day. On opening night, the crowd watched performances by representatives from nearby Native American pueblos and reservations. The performances, reported the New Mexico State Tribune in an advance story, included numerous prominent tribesmen of the Southwest who will perform for the audience mystic rites never seen before on the stage. Isleta Pueblo Governor Pablo Abita won a prize of $500, a magnificent sum for the time. for naming the new theater, reflecting the optimism of the time. The Chemo, a combination of two words literally meaning mountain lion, but more liberally interpreted as king of its kind, could not have been more appropriate. With the theater at more than its capacity at the grand opening, the Bacecchis kept an anxious eye on the balcony. Carlo explained the structure of the balcony was always a big worry because it spanned from east to west without wall support. When the house was packed, we could see it drop 4 to 8 inches in the middle. Uh-oh. When people jumped up and down, it really moved, Bacecchi laughed, and then explained that it was purposely designed to give and sway. We had bingo every Friday. We gave away a Model T or Chevrolet. You could buy a car in those days for $700. I wish I could have won a car at bingo night. Are you kidding me? And we gave away tons of dishes, anything to attract audiences, Bacecchi said. The Chemo was also a very important employer for young people just getting started. Vivian Vance, who went on to achieve fame as Lucchesi Ball's sidekick in the I Love You Lucy series, started working at the Chemo. The theater also hosted such Hollywood stars as Sally Rand, Gloria Swanson, Tom Mix, and Ginger Rogers. A year after the realization of his dream, Oreste Bacecchi died, leaving the management of the Chemo to his sons, who combined vaudeville and out-of-town road shows with movies. Extra revenue came in from the luncheonette curio shop on either side of the entrance. In later years, the Kiva High, a second-floor restaurant, and the KGGM radio hosted on the second and third floors were major tenants. Sorry, my dog is going to be running in and out, and the little one is going to be barking. I apologize. When management of the theater passed out of the Bacecchi's hands in the mid-1930s, the Chemo was altered several times, partially to keep up with the current theater trends. More drastic changes resulted from two disasters: a 1951 boiler explosion that killed a small boy and demolished part of the lobby area, and a 1961 fire in the stage area that destroyed the original proscenium. Damn, that's crazy. 10 years apart, two disasters. In 1968, after shopping centers and modern theaters had made serious inroads in the downtown's attraction to moviegoers, the Chemo closed as a picture palace. Over the next 10 years, it was used as offices for Commonwealth theaters and occasionally opened for local performing art groups. The person who wrote this book, Antonio R. Garcia, says, I interviewed Jules Sanchez at her home and found her to be a sincere and friendly individual. Enthusiastic about her strange experiences at the Chemo Theater, she became excited and animated during the interview, using her hands when describing what she saw. The theater receptionist Jewel is very approachable for a quick chat. Her emancipable personality welcomes both friends and strangers, be they living or. Jules Sanchez's story. I've worked at the Chemo Theater since November 1979. I've done various tasks while employed at the Chemo. But presently I work as the receptionist and do clerical work. Oh my god. Sorry, I don't know. I don't know. There currently exists a tradition at the theater which involves, of all things, donuts. I know it sounds a bit strange or funny, but believe me, there is a reason. Several years ago, a little boy was accidentally killed when a hot water pipe burst. Oh, yeah, the 1951. Apparently, this young boy had happened to be backstage one evening next to the pipe, which carried the theater's hot water supply. Although I don't know all the circumstances of what had happened, I do know that I do know there was an explosion and the child was killed. Apparently, this little boy's ghost decided to linger in the theater. Maybe his ghost needs the reassurance of familiar surroundings. There have been many persons who have witnessed the spirit within the theater. Many years ago, a tradition of offering the child's spirit donuts and candy was started to appease his mischief nature. It's customary to have a box of sweets, usually donuts, backstage for the stage crew and performers on the opening night of every performance. Eventually, someone decided to tie a donut to an exposed water pipe. As you can imagine, throughout the years, the string grew longer and assortments of donuts also grew. At this very minute, if you take a look backstage, you'll notice several very old, crusty, hard donuts hanging on the water pipe. It might seem strange, but there they are for all to see. On Christmas Day in 1974, there was a performance of some sort, and a member of the crew who was unaware of the donut tradition saw this collection of sweets hanging on the water pipe and, apparently disgusted with the sight, removed them, placed them in the trash. I was told that as soon as they had been removed, all sorts of weird and negative stuff began to happen. Anything that could go wrong did go wrong. Props that had been well anchored to the floor toppled over, as if intentionally pushed by invisible hands. Electrical cables blew up in a storm of sparks and flashes. The most obvious of the strange occurrences involved the onstage actors themselves. While performing, they tripped and fell over an invisible object. Some actors stated that it felt like a pair of invisible hands had caused them to fall, that they had been quickly but firmly pushed to the floor. Well, very soon someone decided that the cause of all this might be related to the removal of the donuts. As soon as this connection had been made, the donut tradition started up again. Immediately, the strange and negative occurrences ceased. My first personal experience with ghosts at the Chemo Theater happened one day around 3:30 in the afternoon. I was sitting at my desk at the front of the theater and decided to use the bathroom. I had to walk a long distance to where it was located in the hallway of the theater. I was thinking about something at the time, and I made my way with my head bowed. As I neared the bathroom, I noticed the ceiling light bulb had burned out, because the only available light for the hallway came from the exit sign above the door at the end of the hallway. Suddenly, I saw a woman leaning against the bathroom door. I stopped dead in my tracks. She was about 25 feet away from me, and I didn't recognize her as a member of our employee staff. Though the dimly lit hallway made it difficult for my eyes to focus clearly, there was no doubt in my mind that I was seeing a woman. I can recall her dress made of a gingham pattern with a bustle. She stood about 5 feet high and sported a bonnet on her head. To describe her in common terms would be to say that she looked as if she walked out of an old West pioneer movie. Her face was turned away from me, so I'm unable to describe her facial features. In fact, my overall impression was that she seemed to be a shadow with an aura of gray. Then she disappeared into thin air. I was unsure what I had witnessed, so I decided to go into the bathroom. It was only after some time I understood what I had seen was a ghost. Strangely, I was not afraid. I took my experience as being normal. I was intrigued by it all, and when I returned to my work area, I asked my coworkers if they had ever experienced su- such an apparition. No one said they had, of course. I tried to explain that what I had seen had been caused by the dimly lit hallway or my imagination, but my attempts to do so never fully convinced me that it was all in my mind. No, I could not explain away what I had seen as being my imagination. What I had seen was a ghost. Since that time, I've not seen her again. My second ghostly encounter at the Chemo happened one evening at around 5 p.m. I was busy making my way up the stairs from the theater's lobby. There's a staircase on the opposite side of the lobby, and as I made my way up the stairs, I happened to glance over towards something on the other staircase. A little boy was scampering up the stairs. He seemed to be playing, making a game of running up and down the stairs. He was wearing a striped shirt and jeans. He had light brown hair and was so involved in his activity that he took no notice of me. As he scampered up the stairs for the last time, he disappeared. He was there one second and gone before my very eyes the next. Seeing, seeing him convinced me that there are ghosts in this theater who are very active. I'm convinced that the little boy I saw on the stairs had to be the child who was killed by the exploding water pipes years ago. I'm so sincerely convinced that since that evening I've made my own little offering to the boy and have placed a bit of candy at the corner of my desk just for him. Was gonna read one more story, but I feel like it's already a long episode, and I don't want to take up too much of your guys' time. I already appreciate you listening to me yap and ramble on enough as it is, so thank you. Um, I'm probably going to just do bi-weekly episodes for now, just because, like I had posted on YouTube, and Instagram, I want to make sure that all of my stories are fully researched and I have all the right information. I'm not missing any facts. And I feel like lately I just haven't been up to doing anything, honestly. So I think 2 weeks will be fine with my procrastination style. Um, and then once I start school again, I'll probably just do monthly, because I'm trying to focus on school right now. Well, maybe. I don't know. I'm still trying to decide my Air Force life. Um, but yeah, episodes will be out bi weekly on Sundays now because I always forget to record episodes. Um, Probably Sunday evenings. And yeah, once I start school, it'll be monthly. I have no idea what I'm going to do for the next episode. Oh, I was literally just talking about something with my friend the other day, and I was like, I'll cover that on my podcast. And I was going to do it, but I didn't write it down. And I don't have my phone on me with my list of ideas. I don't know. Next episode's going to be a surprise. We'll figure it out together, I guess. I cannot remember what I was talking to Tim about. Now I'm upset that I can't remember this because it was actually something I really enjoyed. And I forgot. Anyways, I don't know what next week's episode is going to be, so stay tuned for that. I would love to do an episode of listener stories, as I have previously said in my other episodes. So if you have a paranormal story, an alien story, a true crime story, a cult story. Oh, maybe it was a cult that we were talking about. Oh, yeah. We were talking about Waco, Texas. Oh, yeah, because I remember. Yep, it was Waco. We were talking about Waco. Maybe I'll do Waco. Oh, maybe I won't cover Waco. I don't know. Anyways, if you guys have stories that you would like to send me so that I can read them on the podcast, that could be amazing. Please send them to my email at thequietpanic@gmail.com. Also, if there are any topics that you'd like to see me cover, either send me an email address, leave me a comment, or DM me on Instagram at the Quiet Panic Podcast. I really hope that I get information from you guys because I want to please you, and I'm just a people pleaser in general. So, right now you can listen to this podcast on Spotify, Apple Music, Amazon Music, and if you like to watch, you can watch on YouTube. I'm debating if I should make Spotify video ones as well. I personally only like to watch the video stuff on YouTube. Um, the ones that listen on Spotify, let me know if you would like the videos on there as well. Can't wait to see you guys in our next episode. Not really see you guys, but can't wait for you guys to see me. Is that condescending? Probably. um, but I can't wait to get back into this because I did miss it. And I just need my creative outlets back, honestly. Anyways, stay cautious, stay curious, especially if you feel the quiet panic.